Hello and welcome to the youtubeyogscast. Today we are looking at the Guardian class in Guild Wars 2 Beta. This is a sort of soldier class, okay, so it's basically mostly a melee class. You can use a shield, lots of defensive sort of abilities, but it doesn't feel like a paladin. It really doesn't. It feels much more supportive. You've got, you know, some quite cool sort of attacks. I'm killing a warthog there. And there's some quite interesting sort of supportive roles to it as well, as you'll see. So I'm going to get staff out later and cast some sort of healy type things.
A staff? Heal? Not really what I would have expected from this profession,
like I said, it really isn't a paladin. So I mean, I've got a sword and shield here, but they're not very common weapons for Guardian. That's a sort of shielding wave, and what that does is actually that applies a 33% damage reduction buff in front of you. So the idea is to cast that over a group of your team, okay? And this one here creates a dome around you for a very short period of time that pushes foes back. So they're not typical shield skills, and they're the only shield skills you get. They're the two shield skills you get. So you get the sort of an area effect damage reduction and a very short duration shield. The sword is pretty boring. This is a two-handed hammer.
You got bored of the sword and shield quite quickly, and now you've moved on to the great big hammer. I don't blame you.
I love the hammers. It's all about the hammers. You'll see when you see my warriors playthroughs, you'll see like how much I love the hammers. But the cool thing about hammers is they just automatically start like auto-attacking AoE. So if you have more than one person near you, you start smacking them. You start smacking the ground. It's awesome. So I'm just killing some sort of harpies here. There's a few interesting weapons. This one is the best. Check that out. Oh my god. It's like home run. You just give them, you just smack them for 6. It's so cool. And now it's so confused. It's attacking a warthog.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
So
wow,
that is just about the best ability ever. Anyway, this here is supposed to be like a sumo ring or something, and it kind of stops people leaving. So if you run up to someone and you cast that, it's supposed to stop them from leaving. So it's kind of like doing a route, but with multiple people. So you can run into a group of people, hit that, it sticks them near you, and then you can just swing your hammer and do all of your blows, and it will damage them all. So that's my knock for 6 ability, which didn't actually knock him too far, but I was hoping it would. So yeah, what do you think, man? I love this hammer. This is awesome.
The hammer's great. It's great.
It's the coolest weapon in Guild Wars 2 by a lot. Incidentally, I haven't really talked about my F1 through F3 abilities. Now, these are interesting because they're all passives, okay? And if I leave them, they're passive. The first one sets fire to something every 5th time I strike. The second one, I've forgotten already, I think it's a health regen. And the third one is a periodic buff. This sort of, you see this shield that I have? Even though I don't have a shield. See all that shield on my arm? That's called Aegeus. And that works a little bit like blindness. It makes the next attack that's going to hit you miss. Now what you can do is you can actually actively trigger these abilities, which temporarily removes the passive, and you can get that bonus straight away. Okay? So I triggered that one and it set fire to it straight away, rather than giving me it every 5 swings. So while it's on cooldown, I don't get it every 5 swings, and I don't get the health regen, but I can trigger it instantly when I need it, if I want to.
This is good. This is quite a meaty, visceral profession with this weapon. You're really getting stuck in.
It's good, isn't it? I like it. So I'm picking up a hunk of meat here. I'm not sure quite why I ended up doing this, but I just found it.
Why not?
I was like,
why not?
A big chunk of meat. Apparently this place you can actually pile up all the meat into like big piles, and this guy here's a skill challenge, and he doesn't actually have anything to do with the meat.
No.
He just wants you
he's a butcher, though.
to beat him up. So I now have to drop my bit of meat on the floor and fight this guy.
Yeah.
So I'm going to knock him for 6.
Oh my god.
That makes the class. That ability there just makes it for me. I mean, it's so cool. So I'm just having a drink of tea while I hit this guy in the face. I mean, these are the sort of random skill challenges all over the world. You never quite know what you're going to get when you come to a skill challenge. It might be just a guy who wants to duel. It might be a guy who summons a whole load of stuff. It might be a guy protected by 100 things. It might be a guy who wants you to do a quest for him or something like this.
And there's, what was it, 250 of them in the world?
280 or something.
And you also get one every time you level up.
I think so, and they're all tracked through the map interface. So when you hit the map, it shows you how many you've got, and it shows you where they are and stuff like this, which is very, very cool. And going through the lower level areas actually to get them is quite challenging because you get down leveled. So if you were going after a level 5 skill point, you might think, oh, it's easy, I'll just go over there on my level 30 and get it. No, you get down leveled to level 5 and you get owned, which is what happened to me. So these are the sort of talents. I haven't really bought any of these. The elite skills are tomes, and what they do is they lock you in place, apart from Sanctuary, and give you like weird spells. So one of them is like turns you into a wizard, and the other one sort of does a similar thing, but turns you into a sort of protective thing. I've also got a hammer of wisdom, which sounds amazing. I'm just sort of choosing a couple of these to show off. I can't really show them all off because I haven't got that many skill points.
Yeah. You picked some interesting sounding ones.
So I collected all these skill points up, and I was going to sort of just give them a go. Hallowed ground, consecrated target area, giving stability so people can't be knocked down around you. Retaliation is a cool one. So when you get hit, you hit them back. Reflect incoming damage back to its source. So that's quite a good one.
Yeah.
This one is retreat. It's like a shout, and it gives you 15 seconds of bonus movement speed. So you could use that as an advance as well, which is very, very cool. And it's cool to have these things when you're running around the world, you know, because they can get you to the next sort of quest faster, and they also work on your allies. So I'm just going to run out over here. As you can see, I've got my Aegeus is triggered, and because it's the passive, and I've got that little pink shield there, which means the next attack on me is going to miss. So right, let's switch over and try Greatsword. And I'm also going to change over to Mace and Torch in the offhand. Okay, so Greatsword and Mace and Torch, again, totally change your whole hotbar over. With a Mace, I've got this thing which smashes the ground and actually provides a little healing circle. So standing in that healing circle will heal me or any allies standing in it. This one here is like a counter attack. Okay, so if I hit him, and then I press this counter attack, and he hits me, I spin.
Oh.
If he doesn't hit me, I heal, I think. So, and I've also got this torch gives you a fire breathing ability, which is kind of cool. And Zealot's flame sets you on fire. So you burn people nearby.
Ow.
And you can also lob that fire at someone and set them on fire. Which is kind of weird, but sure, why not? So there's a whole bunch of these things. I thought, right, I'll hit these guys, see if I can set them all on fire, which is what I'm doing there. And then I'm going to use my counter attack to defend me, hopefully in a second. I've set them all on fire. I'm just kicking them in the face, really. There's my counter attack. Okay, so this is something you could imagine using with a shield and being a bit more defensive with. But like I said, the shield, it doesn't really give you any defensive bonuses. It doesn't give you armor. It doesn't give you any kind of actual active anything beyond an active skill that protects your allies. So shield is a bit of a funny one.
I guess they have stats on shields.
Well, not notably defensive ones. So, I mean, an offhand, if you just got an offhand with vitality on it, it would probably do better. So that's quite an interesting part of this game, because there aren't tanks, there aren't the Holy Trinity, there aren't healers. It's unusual. So let's run forward here. Now I think I'm gonna try and give my ultimate skill a go, and I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I want to see this.
Oh no, I'm gonna use Greatsword first. So. Strike, Symbol of Wrath, which gives you a bit of retaliation and burns foes. Whirling Wrath, which is an AoE. Leap of Faith, that's like a charge. And then Binding Blade, so it throws a blade at them and pulls them towards you. It's like a death grip. That's my leap there, so I spin and leap. That guy blocked it, actually. And now I'm going to put down that circle, which causes retaliation, and use my whirling thing.
Oh my god! And they just died. That was that.
And
wow.
that's the. I tried to use the thing that pulled them towards me, but it didn't quite work properly. I think it's kind of an AOE pull, so it's supposed to pull people in an area to you. I've also summoned my magical hammer, which is hitting them, and you can cause it to knock people down, which is quite funky for something like PvP.
And the magical hammer is one of the utility ones that you can spend the skill
There
points.
you go. I see that guy there. I've got a chain round him, and hopefully I can now pull him to me. No. There you go. Well, I triggered it wrongly because I didn't know what the hell I was doing, obviously. And then I got hit by a trebuchet.
Ow.
Oh yeah, that's quite nasty. Sometimes you'll find that mobs have access to the siege weapons as well. So this is my ult, the elite thing. It's a ground targeted flame which you can use to set fire to people. A projectile that drags people and hits 10 people, causing crippling weakness. So that's something for PvP. A cone which reduces their stats in front of you. A fury to nearby allies. And there's another ability which I actually missed there because I was too slow. It doesn't last a hugely long time.
No.
But it's very, very cool. Swords and hammers are the way to go, for sure, with Guild Wars 2.
I just love the originality with all these abilities and the weapon switching. I mean, I look at a game like Dragon Age and, like, you know, you'd level up and you'd go, oh, what access, you know, what abilities do I have? And they were just the most generic, boring skills I've ever seen in a video game. And I just didn't care. I didn't care. It's like, oh, so I can use a bow and arrow, and this ability lets me fire 2 arrows instead of 1. And this ability lets me fire a bit quicker.
Yeah.
And they were just so boring. But look at it! Look at all these abilities that you have here. And I would never have imagined that you'd have that weird sort of the spell book that has these massive AoE abilities and that huge conal debuff. I would have never thought that this guy who could swing a massive hammer would have access to those skills at all.
Well, that's why it's a bit weird. So now I'm equipping a staff, which is even weirder. And the staff auto attack is a frontal cone thing, and I'll show you hopefully here. But basically, it's like a frontal AoE damage cone of oddness. Let me find it. So these are all the abilities here. Send out a powerful shockwave hitting 5 enemies. That's the auto attack. The second thing is a slow moving orb of light. The third one is swiftness, sort of on the ground, which is kind of odd. This one is like a wall, and that one is a sort of an ability that sucks all bad conditions off your allies and onto you. So if you're being owned in PvP, I guess, by loads of messers with conditions everywhere and everyone's crippled, you can suck them off all of your allies and put them on you.
What is this?
That came out wrong.
What is this?
So that's my auto attack. Yeah, it's weird. It is a bit weird.
It's amazing. What the hell?
So I'm kind of jumping around a bit. So that's the orb there, which blinds people and sets them on fire. And this is my auto attack. It's weird. It's weird. And then that's the thing on the ground, which sort of damages them and helps your allies out. What does it do? Oh, it increases the speed of people. So it's like if you run through it, it will increase their speed. And I think it will cripple enemies or something in response. I'm taking a bit of damage. So I'm certainly not doing anywhere near the amount of damage that I used to be doing with the melee weapons. But that's because it's slightly ranged. And there's these ghost cannons here, which actually are owning me. Oh God. As you can see.
The staff abilities look like it's much more about support than, you know, damage dealing. Oh,
and that's
crap.
a ghost trebuchet, which is also a disaster.
Yeah.
So I'm now like running away.
Careful. Oh God.
There's a ghost over that way. I'm just thinking I'm obviously in a bit of trouble here.
No.
Now,
second wind.
yeah, so each class when they get knocked down, they have abilities, okay? So sometimes if you got knocked down and actually were on your own, you can use the bandage ability to sort of heal up. I'm just getting blown around by these cannons. That's a knockback.
You're doing really badly. really badly. You should be spamming the hell out of
Well,
one.
these cannons...
Like, spamming the crap out of it.
I was totally out of range, so it was no good. Right, so where were we?
You're getting owned by ghost siege weapons.
Oh yeah, Scepter and Focus. So that sort of... The auto attack is a little kind of glowy ball. It doesn't really go very far. It's kind of like a tennis ball. I don't feel like a paladin right now. This is like a weird area where all these fists kind of come out of the air and just batter people in the fists. This one, the third one is a cripple. The fourth one is Ray of Judgment. Pass a ray over foes and allies. And the fifth one is to create a shield that blocks several attacks. So this is actually more defensive than the shield, really, if you're being personal about it. So I'm going to put down this area of fists and then put my shield up that blocked the attacks.
Wow.
And if it didn't block the attacks, it would have done AoE damage. So let's just hit these guys with my fists, which is kind of weird. My fourth ability, I can't remember what it is, I think it's some sort of AoE, but I was just kind of pressing it. Third ability is the Immobilize, which is very pretty. What does this guy want? Oh yeah, this guy wanted us to like do a random sort of event, so I was like, sure, let's just go help him, why not?
Sure, come on, off we go. And you're like, whatever.
So there you go, man. That's the Guardian. I'm not really sure what to make of this class. It's definitely more supportive than the Warrior.
Well, it can be supportive,
and it's got a lot more sort of versatility, but it's certainly not a healer in no way. There's no heals at all. It's not really a tank because you're pretty fragile actually. You've got a few sort of defensively type abilities, but they seem to be more geared towards PvP defensive wise. And there seems to be a fair bit of damage on some of the lines, but it certainly seems more magical based than melee based in some cases. I don't know what to think of it.
it's essentially a magic using warrior, and whereas a warrior can use like rifles and things, instead you've got like a staff that you can use these bizarre sort of ranged attacks with. It's interesting, especially those elite skills in which you have like the tomes and stuff. It gives.
I suppose so.
It's different. That's the thing, and that's what we have to get our heads around with these professions of Guild Wars 2. The fact that they're just so different from the typical archetype classes.
Yeah, I agree. So there you go. That's the Guardian class. I think next up will be either Elementalist or Ranger, and so we will see you next time.